welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast, the only podcast that is perfectly balanced as all things should be. I'm your host, Max Mosier, here today with one other Infinity Bro and a special guest from another show. We'll get to him in a moment, but first, it is my co-host, Mark Jones. Mark, how are you?
I am great. I'm glad to be back. As you can hear, listeners, COVID has reaped my body and now is left. Max cannot mouth me as well as I can mouth him. But Leathers can. Leathers is on point on that. So that's great. I'm flattered that they imitate me.
Imitate. Yes,
Thank you.
Very good.
I'm having a Freudian slip like you do with names. It's hard. I get it. I understand now.
Intimidate you. Okay. All
I'm
right.
glad to be back. I'm glad to be here with Leathers. I was at work and I saw on our chat that he was going to be on tonight, and I've just been out of loop with work and, you know, new house, new moving situated, and I was like, I gotta be on. I gotta go find my TV, my computer, and be ready for tonight. So,
Best and worst thing about moving, Mark, go.
Oh, worst thing about moving, you know, all the stuff I didn't know I had and wanted moved, and now having to figure out where to put it all and get furniture and stuff to set up or what to sell. Best part about moving is, like, we bought our own home, so I guess that's the good part, is like now having our own place. So that was
Well, let's be real, it's the basement. You getting your own basement.
pretty nice. I can't wait to host stuff here and have people over. Have them
I can't wait to come over.
travel and actually like feel okay with having people over versus when I lived at the farm and then having people to deal with, like, you know, the one bathroom we have and the spirits that live in the house, you know.
When you get a spinoff of a TV show or movie,
Yeah.
and those characters go somewhere else, I'd like to think that there's somebody else that they're haunting now. That's their spinoff.
They went to a neighbor.
Yeah. There's somebody else down over there that they're hanging out with. But Mark already introduced our next guest. But it's Matthew Leathers. He is a gracious patron host, which is part of the reason we have him on. But the other reason is we want to make sure that we support his new show that just started up with his buddy Regan, the Goof Goober Show. You can check this out on YouTube, or if you're listening to the podcast on Apple iTunes, the link is in the show notes. Matthew Leathers. Leathers, how are you?
Thank you so much for having me on the pod. It's freaking awesome. Going from listening to you guys on the podcast to then being on it. So, I mean, it's awesome. So I really appreciate you guys inviting me.
I would imagine everything has been ruined for you.
It's been good so far. It's just like talking to best buds. That's all. So far it's been good. So check out the Patreon. We get to talk about a lot of good stuff.
I also can vouch for you and Regan that you guys are quite a duo. So I would assume that the Goofy and Goober Show, which I have not watched yet, is good. Episode 1's out now. So I'm going to put that in the stream deck on YouTube for sure. And I'll be checking that out very soon. So
Do you guys sing the I'm a Goofy Goober song together?
You know, we're still trying to iron that out. We were thinking about that. We are a tandem, as Max kind of mentioned. So anything is in the air right now. We're open to all things. So
I also like that there's like a box on it that says the Goof and Goober Show, and then it's two men with mics. Love that.
Two men with mics, baby.
Two men with mics. Nobody's ever seen anything like that before. They're not ready for us. Oh, it's good. That's so good. Make sure you check that out in the show notes, or go support them and subscribe to them on YouTube. Let's make sure the Infinity Bros universe grows a little bigger and the corners go deeper. Today, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, the new trailer that came out on the NCAA championship football game. What a blowout, by the way. Yuck. Georgia just eviscerates TCU. Brutal.
This has to be, like, is it next year they're actually going to the 12-team playoff? Or, like, is this a game where they're like, okay, or, like, yeah, is this a game where they're like, no, we're going to do that next year? Because it's just like, do you really want this to happen again?
Bennett's a baller, dude. He's a baller.
Credit where credit's due, though, for them. The plan to put this trailer in the third quarter worked because I would have turned it off at the end of the first. So credit to them.
I mean, you could have just waited like me when they actually just put it online.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could have. Yeah, okay. Congratulations, Mark. You waited till it went online. Congratulations. You feel better about yourself?
Anytime I can up you, yeah, I feel better.
Sure.
That's
We mentioned our Patreon earlier. If you are interested in the question of should worship leaders be in yoga pants, or if you'd like to hear our fantasy football punishment
worship
challenge that's
Listen.
happening. Mark cutting me off yet again. If you want to hear about our fantasy football punishment challenge that's happening to our friend this weekend, make sure you check out our Patreon exclusive content. We also talk about Leathers' favorite item in the back of his beautiful backdrop. So you'll definitely want to check that out. And also follow us on TikTok if you want to see his beautiful backdrop. So those are all our plugs for today. Everything's in the show notes. We're going to talk about Ant-Man Wasp Quantumania, and then we're going to end the show with our top 6 things we're looking forward to in 2023. But before we do that, we need to take Matthew Leathers into the Infinity Gauntlet.
Are you a heel or a baby face? If you could make any flavor Cheez-It, what would it be? Is it pronounced Grogu or Groku? If Keanu Reeves isn't in the movie, can it be star-studded? It's time for the Infinity Gauntlet, here on the Infinity Bros podcast.
Fantastic. Oh, gosh. Okay.
That's okay. That's where we pause. So let me explain the Infinity Gauntlet. If this is your first time listening to us and you're coming for the Ant-Man content, great. We're glad you're here. Every time we have a guest on the show, we want to make sure that we put them through the gauntlet so you, the audience, can get to know them better, so you can feel like they're fun to be around, feel like you can maybe trying like a shirt on, or trying a new beverage, or trying an appetizer at a place. We want you to be familiar with the other individuals and people that we bring onto the show, so you can go check out their content after you check us out. Exclusive questions that Leathers is not prepared for. He's not prepared for these questions, guys. He does no idea what's going to come. These are authentic reactions. I might edit down the response time, but essentially it's authentic reactions. So here we go. We're going to start with, this comes from Infinity Bro Jarrett. Bro Jarrett says, a Jumanji scenario has occurred where the last video game you have played has come to life. You need to beat the game in order for life to return to normal. But luckily for you, this is a big budget production, so you get a celebrity guest. What game do you need to survive, and who is your special guest?
Oh, no. So the last game I played was World of Warcraft. The Wrath of the Lich King. So the problem is, if you know anything about that game, you can't beat it. It just goes on forever. It's a world within a world. So I don't know if we would ever end the movie.
Brutal.
Welcome to your new life.
It would never end.
It'd be like the Avatar universe, Mark.
Oh.
Just never ending.
If I had to bring on one celebrity for the entire lifespan of however long it takes me to finish the movie, it's going to have to be Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, it's going to be Ryan Reynolds. He's going to make the time, fun. It's going to be enjoyable. Yeah, I think that's my answer.
Okay, well, then the World of Warcraft question is, what is your character right now?
Well, so I play a prot warrior, so it's a protection warrior. So I just play a tank, so I just get beat up on all the time. Yep, and live through it.
All right, next question. This comes from Infinity Bro Max. Credit or debit, and why?
Credit. So
why?
Are you talking about credit cards and debit cards?
Credit or debit? Credit or debit?
Or accounting, credit or debit. Actually,
credit or debit. I'm
going credit. Here's why. If you have an Amex, I have an Amex, right? So anytime you spend something, you get points, right? Mm-hmm. So you get points. So what I'll do is I'll use it for my gas. I'll use it for like groceries. I'll use it for the things, like little things that we do. And then at the end of the month, I'll just pay it off with my debit card. So I'll lean on that all month. Builds my credit, helps me get more points for Amex. Then I use the Amex points at the end of the year. Yep. I'm not a financial advisor, but that's what I do.
He's not a financial advisor, nor am I. Invest in Dogecoin. Here we go. That is not financial advice, Mark.
I was gonna say, like, as someone who owns a title as finance officer, I would say all what Leather said was probably good if you can, cover that at the end of the month, all your expenditures. But having Max tell you to invest in blatantly invest in Dogecoin, probably not the smartest thing.
That's.
I'm not saying it. Just do it. Just do it though. Just do it.
Wait. So when did you guys invested? When did you invest?
We invested when you wanted to invest. We invested 6 or 7 months before it blew up. And we told everyone, our friend group, like, put like $100
we did. And they mocked us.
Yeah.
They mocked us. Yeah. It was brilliant. This comes from Infinity Bro Robbie. You're creating a comic book superhero football team. Who is your quarterback, your running back, your wide receiver 1, and your tight end?
Who's my quarterback, my wide receiver, my running back, and my tight end? So I'm definitely going with Tony Stark as my quarterback. I don't need a guy who's fast. I don't need a guy who's quick. I need a guy who can think, who can rip the football, and that's about it. That's what I'm looking for a quarterback. So he would fit that. My second one, I don't even know if I should do. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Black Panther for my running back. Just a baller. I think he would be a baller. Now the question is, because if it's a wide receiver, is it a slot? Is it an outside receiver?
It's a wide receiver 1, so I would assume it's an outside receiver.
If it's an outside receiver, I'm going with Quicksilver. I'm going to go with Quicksilver.
Okay.
Man, yeah.
Tight end is where this gets interesting.
This is where it gets dicey, because the first thing I think about is like a Cyclops. But what does Cyclops do? Like, he doesn't do anything. He just looks like a guy. Like, when I think of Cyclops, I'm like, oh, that guy might be a good tight end. I don't know. Oh, perfect. We're going with Aquaman. We're going Jason Momoa, Aquaman as my tight end.
I like your Black Panther running back take, and for me, in my head, I was like, let's put Steve Rogers at fullback because of that scene where the two of them run out.
Oh yeah,
in front of everybody in Infinity War. I'm like, let's have Steve Rogers would lead block for T'Challa. Absolutely no question.
I was thinking when I heard you ask that question, I was thinking fullback. I was thinking Wolverine.
That's a great pick.
He would be a baller fullback for us.
Mark, wide receiver 2, real quick for his team. Go. Who would you pick for wide receiver 2?
Wide receiver. Are we just sticking to the Marvel world? Is that
can't pick a speedster? Can't pick a speedster. He already got a speedster. No speedsters.
Well, I'm just saying we're in the Marvel world. That's what I asked.
We're gonna stay in Marvel. He stayed Marvel. We'll stay Marvel.
Okay. Another wide receiver. Gosh, I kind of want to go. Why am I blanking on his name? Like Deadpool. That's who I'd go with. Someone who you could just basically sling the rock to him, and no matter what, no matter if you're basically setting him up for a big hit, he's going to get right back up. He's going to catch you that ball and get right back up.
Are you comparing him more to a Wes Welker type of player?
Exactly.
Because to me, I look at Deadpool as a Kadarius Toney playing for the Chiefs right now.
Oh, yeah.
He's just going to make people miss left and right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like he actually won't complain about being injured or lie about it.
Yeah, that's true. That is Deadpool.
I will say, so I'll give you my number 2. I know you guys didn't ask for it, but I was thinking like Tyreek first, so that's why I picked Quicksilver.
Sure.
My second one would be like if I was thinking like a Julio, like a guy you could go throw jump ball to, right? I'm thinking Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. This comes from Zane. A small goblin-like creature named Mac comes up to you and offers you $1,000 every day, but the catch is that you have to have magic Cheeto dust on your fingers that won't wash off. How many days in a row do you think you can last?
How many days in a row?
$1,000 a day for Cheeto dust on your hands. That's gross. That is an incredible question. That might be the best Infinity Gauntlet question we've ever asked.
That's tough. So like if I take out my current life and my work situation, oh man. No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do any of the days.
Mark, how many could you do? These last two questions have been great.
I like hate having dirty hands, but for that much money, like I have a thing with like dirty hands. Like it's always been a pet peeve of mine. But for that amount of money, Daddy's going the rest of his life with Cheeto hands.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm for that. Like, there's got to be a point where eventually you'll just have enough money that like you just don't need the Cheeto hands anymore. But I'm taking that on. I'm at least going a year.
I wouldn't be able to do my job without my hands, so that's my problem.
I mean, at that point, it's time to get out of the job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but my job could give me $1,000 a day.
Yeah, but this is a guaranteed $1,000 a day.
This is a shockingly very great question from Zane. So, Mark, the last question is yours. What's the final Infinity Gauntlet question?
All right, it's a 2-part question. First part: what is the greatest accomplishment you've had in your life so far, and what's the next big goal you have that you hope to accomplish?
Well, my daughter was born, so I guess that's a big accomplishment. Figured out how it worked. It took a while, but we figured it out. Besides that, Besides that, for the company I work with, for the whole year they had what's called a President's Club. So it's like the top 10% of the company. So I got into that. Moving forward, this last year my goal was to get my wife to not work. This next year is to have all of our debt in our house paid off.
Good goals.
Yep. So
you've gotten soft since you had a kid, Mark.
That's what girls
You've gotten
do.
soft.
What do you want me to ask him?
I don't know, something like the
like
Cheetos hands question. I think the Cheetos hands question was a really good one. I was expecting something.
Zane's got all the time in the world. All he does is work and play video games. He's got nothing else to do. He's got nothing but time.
Okay, whatever. That's fine. It's fine.
It's hard to top that.
Yeah, you literally asked. Literally asked Leathers that, and then you said, "This is probably the greatest question we've ever had." And I'm like, I already had my question. This MFer couldn't just let me ask the question, then ask Zane's question.
I just think it's a really good question. I was expecting more from you.
I'm sorry that my question was insightful and wanting to know what he's done.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to get. It's just it's unlike you to be the one who's like, "Hey, talk about your goals and your achievements." Like that's not your shtick historically on this show.
Yeah, I was expecting like having to teeter-totter like a certain thing. I don't know.
All right. I got like this. I always have two. So Leathers, here's the other. You get a bonus gauntlet question.
Here we go.
Okay.
You're stuck, and I might have asked this a similar way. You're stuck on an island with the Infinity Bros. Who do you faction up with to kill the rest? It can be with one person.
Oh, that's
2 or 3.
Oh, that's so easy.
That's the easiest question.
No. We're not done yet.
Okay.
Out of that faction you have, who do you think betrays you? And then who do you think you'll have to fight to the death in your faction? If it's not the person who betrays you, or you think everyone's going to betray you? And can you take them?
And can I take them? So who would I have on my side to kill you guys? Gosh, I'm probably taking Robbie. Probably gonna take Robbie to come help kill you guys. Who's gonna betray me? I definitely think Mark has that tendency. So he's a guy that,
of course,
you do one wrong thing, it's gonna turn around. And then who could I take? Like who could I fight and win?
I know in a combat and cunning and smarts, whoever. Max is the easy choice, but you know.
Max? I was thinking like Jarrett. I just feel like I could punch Jarrett in the face one time and he'd be done.
Yeah, but he's artificial intelligence. You never know what he might do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Jarrett.
All right.
He's gonna go back to his cave in Montana with one cell phone in the entire state.
And
sorry,
1 megabyte
I'm
of
punching you in
internet
the face.
The historical layup there is Max for sure.
Oof.
Yeah, that's an easy one. That would have been. You're incorrect, Leathers. We were looking for Max.
Oh,
the answer
sorry.
we were looking for was Max. I'm sorry. You
Max.
now have lost $1,000 every day for the Cheetos hands. Now you owe us 100 days of Cheetos.
Can you imagine
hands.
if like that was the other thing? Like if you don't have the Cheetos hands for at least a year, you lose $1,000 a day.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta save that. You gotta save that question.
Dude, that Cheetos hands question is HOF. Great job, Zane.
That should just be like the like that's the start off question every time there's a new gauntlet is that question.
Yeah, maybe we just like have a roster of questions we ask every calendar year. Like it's the same 6 questions. And if you're familiar with the show, great, you have a head start in thinking about it. But a lot of people we have on don't know it's coming typically. All right, let's transition over. Oh, by the way, I did get word that a friend of the show, Jade, friend of the show, he's a Prior Lake football player and wrestler, is currently touring Notre Dame. So I believe he will be listening to an episode of this en route or coming back. So shout out to Jade.
Oh, wow.
Hope the trip at Notre Dame is going well for you. But I just got word literally just now through text that he's hanging out at Notre Dame. So I would imagine he's going to be checking out the show. Big anime guy, that Jade. Big anime guy.
Is he also into art?
What's up, Mark?
Is he into art too?
What does that mean?
I think you know what it means.
I don't, and I'm nervous.
All right, whatever.
Okay. Hey, you get a new house and you're top dog now. Top
Always
dog.
have been.
You were gifted the basement, and now you can do whatever you want with the basement.
I'm not really.
What are you gonna
dog.
do in the basement?
I don't know. I wish I had an HOA like Max though.
I don't have an HOA.
Whatever, Max. Go tell that to your HOA president.
I don't have an HOA.
Is it a townhouse or is it just a home?
It's like one of those gated communities Max lives in Savage.
Oh, gotcha.
What am I going to do in this basement? I hope I'm not really a handyman, so I'm kind of hoping I can get like some designs up and then either contact, we have a mutual friend, or it's more of a friend from Fergus Falls when I went there for the junior college that I have assimilated into our friend group from Crown. His name is Chase.
Strategically.
He's a handyman type of guy, so I'm thinking if I can get some stuff going, he might be able to help me or at least lead me the right way. And I also have a brother-in-law who's a carpenter, so we'll see what happens.
Use your friends and family.
Yeah. I can get the materials, I can pay the cash, or just, not the most handiest person. Unlike Max.
Okay, now I can talk about Ant-Man.
No, we can talk about Ant-Man.
I'm going to talk about Ant-Man now. Here we go. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania follows Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne, along with Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, as they explore the quantum realm, where they interact with strange creatures and embark on the adventure that goes beyond the limits of what they thought was possible. It's directed by Peyton Reed. He is directing this for the 3rd time. The screenplay is written by Jeff Loveness. Stars Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Jonathan Majors as Kang, Catherine Newton as Cassie Lang. She is replacing the old actress of Infinity War and Endgame, the older actress in Endgame, excuse me. William Jackson Harper, who for the longest time was rumored to maybe be our Reed Richards, is indeed Quaz, Quaz. Katie M. O'Brien is Gentora. Michelle Pfeiffer is Janet Van Dyne. Michael Douglas obviously coming back as Dr. Hank Pym. And then Bill Murray has been confirmed to be playing Krylar. And Randall Park will allegedly return as Jimmy Woo. I have no source outside of IMDb on that one, so I'm just going to credit IMDb and apologize now if he's not in it. There is another person that if you were looking closely in the trailer, you will notice they were in it. I'm not going to spoil who that person is because we're going to stop at this juncture in case you are a non-spoiler person. So before we dive into anything with this trailer, the newest one that came out during the NCAA tournament, we're going to make sure that you're familiar with our rating system and how we rate things here on the Infinity Bros podcast.
Here on the Infinity Bros podcast, everything is ranked from a 0 to 6 point scale. 0 meaning horrible and 6 meaning absolutely excellent. If all of the Infinity Bros rank something a 6, it gets an Infinity Step.
I also talked about the character that is a spoiler, so I'm just going to go ahead and place a spoiler warning for this trailer. If you do not want to hear about Ant-Man, this is your time to skip ahead. This is your spoiler warning.
This is
Prepare yourself.
an Infinity Bros
Prepare yourself.
spoiler warning.
All right, guys, Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania. Before we talk about this trailer, I would love to quick get your thoughts on the previous movies. Leathers, tell us your ratings for Ant-Man 1 and Ant-Man 2. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah. So Ant-Man, the first one, 6-point scale. We're going to go with your 6-point scale here. I'm giving it a 5 out of 6. I really thought it was an enjoyable movie. I don't think necessarily it moved the plot point through like the first part of the Marvel Universe and stuff like that, but I just really enjoy Paul Rudd. Like there's not much that you can say bad about Paul Rudd. I think he does an extremely good job at creating subtle humor, which I'm a huge fan of. So like one of my favorite movies of all time is like Napoleon Dynamite, right? So like it's like subtle things. Like you look at facial expressions, you look at you really have to dive into the movie. So that's what I would give it a 5 out of 6 just because of that alone. Ant-Man and the Wasp 2. Unfortunately, I have to give that one a 2 out of 6. And it's not because of the movie itself and watching it. Funny story. So back when I was in college, I was babysitting this family. Okay. And they had a TV in the car, but all the kids ever wanted to watch was Ant-Man 2 or Ant-Man and the Wasp. That was it.
Really?
So what I mean by all the time is like, I've got it memorized for the most part. Like you throw on the movie, like I could start saying it. And it's like, I've just gotten to the point where I cannot watch it anymore because of that. So that's why I give it a 2 out of 6. Not that it's a bad movie. It's just, I've seen it and heard it so many times. Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. That sucks.
It's like listening to that, like a song a million times, and then you can't listen to the song anymore.
Sure.
Even though it's a good song. Yep. That's exactly what it is.
That's brutal. For me, Ant-Man 1 is a 4.2 out of 6 nowadays. I really enjoy this movie. It's just, this is a hard movie to compete with the rest of the MCU, to be honest. And it's the same for Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is a 4. I just think both of these movies have a hard time competing with the bigger scale movies that are happening. Even the shows. I think some of the shows these things have a hard time going against. But big world building movies and big properties, and obviously had a huge impact on Endgame. So that's my thought on that. I also would add Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think the timing of when that one came out was pretty brutal too. So just my thought. I think between Infinity War and Endgame was not the
It was
spot.
bad timing. Shouldn't have been created then.
So,
Yep.
Mark, what about you?
I think I would agree more with Leathers about the first Ant-Man being a 5 out of 6 because it did cap off Phase 2. Like that was the last Phase 2 movie, if you remember. So it was, kind of one of the first movies, kind of like into the new age of superheroes. I think it's still, like you said, it's a good world building plot mover. The second one, I think, is well, unlike Leather's situation, like the second one was just that was a few months after Endgame when it was released, and its real big thing was the whole him getting trapped in the quantum realm.
Sure.
So that kind of like launched that. But I think that's like an underrated movie. Like I would give it probably a 4.5 out of 6. I think it tells a good story. I think there's a lot of characters that are going to come back from that movie. Because I think Ghost is supposed to be in the Thunderbolts movie or show. So it'll be interesting seeing her again and what she's been up to. So that's where I landed. I liked Ant-Man and the Wasp and Ant-Man. I think it's a good dose of comedy. So, yeah.
The comedy is good in both. I would certainly not disagree with you there. This new trailer came out obviously during the NCAA tournament. Kang is very heavily featured in this. So this is, in my opinion, more of a Kang trailer than an Ant-Man trailer. this feels like the beginning of the dynasty. I know they're calling it the multiverse saga, but they're going to really lean into that phrase dynasty, I think. Go ahead and rate this trailer for me, Mark. We're going to start with you. What is your rating of the second trailer for Marvel Studios' Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
I know. I've kind of lately been on the Scott Higa trend of like, maybe I shouldn't watch second trailers because I just feel like maybe a little too much was given away, but like also got me more pumped for the movie. So it's like I'm in that weird middle zone. I'd probably give this trailer, just based off of the hype now I have for it, a 5.5 out of 6. Because the thing I love that they showed us in this trailer is, me, I like to speculate, like, are we getting, does Kang kill all the Ant-Man from across the universe? And, like, that's a scene where you see all these Ant-Man running together and, like, dissolving into, like, spaghetti, like Wanda did to Reed Richards. So is Kang killing everyone? And, like, that's how one Ant-Man escapes, is having all the other Ant-Man to help him out. So, like, there's stuff like that makes me, like, speculate and go off into the weeds. So that's, I'm all for it. I can't wait to be
We can definitely get into the weeds tonight.
Despaired.
Yeah.
And distraught after this movie. So
5.5 out of 6. Okay. Leathers, your rating of this trailer?
Actually, I'm gonna have to agree with Mark on 5.5 out of 6. I agree. I think what this trailer does for me, it's almost like Endgame, for an example. Endgame was a lot more serious when they brought out the trailers and stuff like that. For this trailer specifically, the one before, I would probably give it like a 3 out of 6, just because it's a lot more lighthearted, for an example. I just feel like if we're introducing, the Quantumania, and we're introducing Kang into the universe in the movie, I was expecting a lot more seriousness to it. So the first one, I wasn't actually excited about Ant-Man and the Wasp just because of that one alone. But this one really hit me. I feel like there's something big that's going to happen that, I wasn't expecting in the first trailer. So, yeah, I definitely give a 5.5 out of 6. Definitely.
Mark, I'm going to lean into a comment you made about too much being shown and completely agree with you. I actually am pretty agitated at what I think I saw. Now, context is, when we see this movie next month, this could all be a complete misdirect, which
they've been known to do.
Marvel has had a history of doing. So
yep.
There's a very strong part of me that's like, all right, well, they're misdirecting me. What are they misdirecting me to? So my rating of this is a 4 out of 6. The hype is there. The visuals are also there, Mark. This is really impressive visuals. In the context of Thor: Love and Thunder, which had that brutal holograph image scene, some of the TV show stuff we've seen, these effects appear to be very strong and very, very fluid. And for a character like Ant-Man, for him to grow and shrink, it's very necessary, as well as anything in the quantum realm. I think this trailer is... I'm just interested next month to see, Mark and Leathers. Are we looking back on this review going, yep, they showed us everything. Can't believe they did that again. Like, they made a mistake.
I sure hope not.
No, I don't think my barometer of being shown too much is that the Batman v Superman movie where they showed us that why am I blanking? Doomsday was in it. It's like, you didn't need to show us that. Everyone was gonna go see that movie. And it would have been even better to give us Doomsday as a surprise. You didn't you gave us enough knowing that Lex Luthor was going to be the bad guy, but so that's my barometer for it. I don't think we got shown too much because, just like Marvel's done in the past, they'll okey doke us with a bunch of trailers, and these trailers didn't show us. Like, the second one didn't show. There were still shots from the same stuff we saw in the first one. So
I understand why they're marketing this as, is Scott Lang gonna die? I understand why they're doing it, but I don't think they needed to do that. I think that was already implied with Kang. I think
which Scott Lang is going to die.
That's the question of the day, right? Is it one of them? Is it some of them? Is it all of them? Is it
Is
ours?
it ours?
I think
Is it ours?
I think ours is dying for sure, 100%.
You better not. I'm going to come to your house, Leathers, and like I'm going to hang out with you if he dies.
I'm not trying to put it in fruition here, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Let's talk about this. So your theory right now is that our Scott Lang is going to die and then they move on from him and it's Stature and Hank Pym?
I feel like they're going to pull a Tony Stark, man. I think they're going to pull a Tony Stark. I think they're going to bring back Tony some way, somehow in Secret Invasion, wherever, Secret Wars. Whenever they bring him back, I think it's going to be something similar. Whether it's a Skrull, whether it's Kang bringing another one back, I don't know. I definitely do think that they're going to kill him off, though. And they're going to propel, and this is like my hot take, okay? I was thinking about this earlier, but I didn't think about it and say it, is I think they're going to try to promote Kate Van Dyne to kind of the head role of Ant-Man, if you will. That's my thought. Politically, how the world is working, I feel like that's kind of the direction.
Well, and the Wasp has a big Avengers arc.
Yeah,
she does. Exactly.
The show is on Disney Plus. I think it's called Avengers Assemble, where they kind of touch on this, where basically the Wasp is like the main, person in that suit, as in like the, Ant-Man's not really around or as big of a character later on. So like I see that happening, but in that same show, when they had King introduced, it was he came to, I think it was Captain America he needed to destroy, because something with Captain America around, he wasn't able to get to his stature. I'm thinking that's what's going to be revealed here is Ant-Man is in Kang's way to get, his Kang dynasty. And I think that's what's going to happen or something. I'm just assuming, speculating that he's going to try to fake a deal with him in a timeline that doesn't affect him. And maybe he finds out and, fights back because he figures out that he's killing all the other Ant-Man. And I'm sure I think we're going to assume that he's dead, but he's not actually going to be dead. Like that might be an end credit scene that he's still alive in a different universe, being hidden by a group that knows what's going on. Because I'm sure, I just have a feeling having Kang involved, Reed Richards has to show up. So there's some mention of the Fantastic Four have to be.
Let's get to Reed Richards here in a bit. I want to stay on this subject first. Do we think there's a chance too that Kang could plant a Scott Lang from another universe that he's trained, i.e. a Skrull or just an evil timeline, kind of like, the joke with Community?
That's what's so crazy about this. Anything's possible with Kang.
He
like
can do anything. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I think that's a realistic arc for this universe, because you have to have something that splinters and tears apart the Marvel Cinematic Universe without like a core Avengers team established right now.
And on top of that, where does MODOK work in this?
I was just transitioning over to MODOK right now, Mark. Well, so this is the spoiler part of this review. If you look, obviously you get a shot at around the 2-minute mark of MODOK, 145 mark, of MODOK with his mask, firing at Ant-Man. But you also, if you're really looking lasered eye, you can see his face without a mask. It is Corey Stoll playing the character who played Darren Cross, the Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man 1. He is coming back to play it. Mark, you've seen the picture. Leathers, have you seen the picture of this?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. So, Mark, rate MODOK for me. How does it look?
The one thing, 6 out of 6. I think the one thing I saw or read someone say, it's like you can't take MODOK seriously or think he's going to look good. His whole purpose is for him to look goofy.
Yep, exactly.
So, and like not really that intimidating, just like a weird, goofy looking thing.
1000%. Yeah.
So I'm glad that they're not gonna, I think they made him have a mask so it appeals to the masses. And I'm sure his outfit that he wears that he has a mask over will play into the quantum realm. So maybe he has a suit that he can go to different universes. But I'm really excited for is they better give us like what happened to Yellow Jacket and how he became MODOK. Like I can't wait for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And for all we know, maybe Corey Stoll or like that character was MODOK in a different universe, so it's not really our Yellow Jacket.
Yeah, Darren Cross, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Leathers?
I give it a 6 out of 6 as well. I think and I was actually reading up on something. If you go frame by frame on Ant-Man 1 as he's getting sucked into the quantum realm or whatever, the last thing that's framed is his head. So like when I saw that, I was like, this makes total sense. Because I'll be honest, when I saw it, I was like, who is this guy? like, who is this guy? Like, who's this face? And so then we had to take a double take, and then it all made sense there. So I definitely am really excited about this. I think it's going to open a lot of doors to the universe. So I'm really excited about it, to be honest with you. So
I 6 out of 6 the design as well, and I echo everything you both are saying. Mark, I love your line of, it's MODOK. Why do you care that it's ugly and inflated and bad CGI? That's literally the point of MODOK. I just agree. I've been trying to figure out how to articulate that, and I didn't know how to articulate that until you said that. So
my only gripe, and it has nothing to do with MODOK. It is Kang at the end when he's shooting his things and he starts screaming, and the CGI of his face goes bigger. It looked horrible to me. If you go back and look, that was the only thing that I really.
It's a shame they're putting that like blue layer over his face, because Jonathan Majors does not need anything covering his face while he's
Well, they're
acting.
doing that to be comic book accurate with this suit.
100%. I get it.
Like you got to appreciate that. Which also makes me
do.
think with that trailer, I think we have seen two different Kangs in here, and not the same one. Because there's one that we see that I don't know if it has to do with the suit, but like one I feel like has blue eyes that we've seen, and one that doesn't have blue eyes.
Do you think Ant-Man makes a deal with one and then that Kang kills him and then he's
confused?
Then
maybe that's plausible. Yeah. But Kang's
also like Endgame.
But it's plausible that the same Kang would just betray him or back out on that deal. Like that's also plausible. Either one. That's what I'm saying with this storyline in multiverse. Like literally anything is on the table. Like we could also in this movie have a superhero from a Fox property show up. Like that's how like on the table things are now these days.
Jonathan Majors is just such a great casting for Kang. It's just every second he's on in this trailer, I'm just so excited for him. As much as I'm frustrated with Marvel showing too much, Jonathan Majors being this villain is just, he's got such a presence. I'm very, very thrilled. I'm also really intrigued to see how Paul Rudd handles these really intense scenes opposite of Jonathan Majors. Like, Jonathan Majors is going to kick his butt.
Yeah.
He has no physical chance against Kang at all. A couple more questions here on your end. Mark, you talked about Fantastic Four earlier. Percentage chances that we see somebody from Fantastic Four referenced or in this movie? So first off, referenced. Will there be a Fantastic Four reference in this movie?
Not seen, but a reference to Fantastic Four.
Correct. I think that's about 85%.
I would say I'd probably go 70. That'd be I think there's a 70% chance that like a Fantastic Four reference has to be made because for all we know, you know, they might not do that. Like that Kang's a descendant of him. They could do their own thing with the Marvel Universe, but that's comic book accurate where he is a descendant of Reed Richards, right?
Yep.
I'm remembering that right. So like that could happen, but it wouldn't also be surprised if MCU goes a different route with his lineage. So
percentage chance, Leathers.
I think there's a 90% chance. I think there's a 90% chance. I think without Kang or without the Fantastic Four, there's no Kang. Personally, I don't think there's any other way that they go. Or Reed Richards, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta build that team up somehow.
I think a reference, yes. I don't think physically they'll show up at all. Would I love it? Sure, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Do you think the reference might be like how he uses a portal if he has one, where it's just like from Doctor Strange 2 when we first get introduced to Reed Richards, where his portal opens up and he comes out? Or I mean,
literally anything.
Like that could be a reference.
I think anything.
Yeah, definitely. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Finally, Mark, we've talked about this since the first trailer, but these rings that Kang is wielding, or that are making the infrastructure up of this quantum realm, is so eerily similar. It's intentional. They have to be related to the bangles from Miss Marvel or the 10 rings from Shang-Chi. Like, I'm more inclined to think that one of those two characters is going to be referenced or showed up before for Fantastic Four.
With Shang-Chi, we get at the end where it's pulsing, and
sure,
like I wonder if that has anything to do with that, and that with like the bangles, like how they can help travel, like interdimensional travel. That would make sense with, right? Because that was one of the aspects of the bangles where they could travel with them, like through time.
It was
So, like,
interdimensional traveling. Yeah,
that would
absolutely.
make sense with that they're tied to the quantum realm and can get abilities that way. So,
Do you think these are items that Kang has to collect, or do you think they're just relics that Kang had and he died, or they were
yeah,
sent to
I
different
hope it's not
dimensions?
a collect thing because we got that already with Infinity Stones.
Sure.
So I
On
would be more
TVA?
forward. Yeah.
With
Well,
TVA.
and that's the thing. Will the TVA show up? That's just off the cuff right there. It's like
A great question.
TV has to be. I feel like has to be referenced because at the end of Loki, we see that the new master of the TVA is just Kang. So, or he who remains, or whoever that person's going to be called. So,
I think that Deadpool movie is the one that they're really pushing for TVA, though, Mark. I think that's the one where they're going to kind of fill in the bubble of where they've been through this whole process outside of Loki.
and does Loki 2 come out this year too? Like, is that something we're looking forward to post this movie?
I believe so.
Because if any property is going to like really,
Yep, this summer it'll be out.
yeah, that really like kind of links potentially to this movie would be that show. I feel like
Sure.
it'd be really interesting. We go see this movie, and just like the celestial in the ocean, just never gets referenced. What happens in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the rest of the phase. That'd be wild.
You talking about in Eternals?
Yeah, like how we never got a reference to we got a little one in a snippet in She-Hulk, but actually never like referenced by a character. So
finally, the last theory that we wanted to touch on, Matthew Ramos, famous TikToker, had a great question of what if at the end of this, we as the audience go back to the real world because they've spent this elongated time in the quantum realm. Time works differently down there. We go back as an audience and 5 to 10 years have passed and we essentially see the beginning of Kang Dynasty. We have to put the pieces together through the next set of movies. Mark, do you subscribe to that theory?
well, I said when whoever did you share that in the group?
I shared it and I just was curious, more detailed thoughts on the pod.
Because I responded with like, this dude needs to stop reading my mind. Because that's kind of been my thought with this movie is I think all this stuff is going to happen, and either somehow King changed the timeline when we go back as an audience, or maybe like Hope goes back as as a person, and either he's changed the timeline where it's different to them, and which might lead into the New World Order for Captain America, or we're 10 years in the future and a lot of stuff has happened. So like unlike Endgame, where Ant-Man was able to kind of help and figure out what's going on, he's coming back to a world that is like in disrepair. And then the rest of the phase is us going back, seeing what's happened since Scott has been out of the picture for 10 years, or someone's been out.
Do you think that's playing on the Endgame trope again, though? Of like, oh, Scott left and he came back?
Well, that's where it might be.
It's like Back to the Future vibes.
Well, also, yes, I do like that. Like that just popped in my head. It could be like that, where it's Scott's basically our Marty McFly in the next few phases, where he's like has to go. He's like, I can't figure out this timeline. Damn. Or this is, if that happens, I think that means Scott doesn't make it back. Like it's not Scott who comes back.
The only reason I'm really like aligned. Oh,
if Cassie makes it back, then that I think to me really leads that we're going to get a Young Avengers team up.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and like
100%.
she's got to go convince everyone that's left what they need to do. So
sorry, just to touch on that. That's part of the reason why I think they're going to kill off Paul Rudd, is to set up the Young Avengers personally.
Better
because I feel like there's going to be something where they take Cassie, King takes Cassie, does something, whatever, and the only way that Paul Rudd or Ant-Man's going to be able to save it is to sacrifice himself, and I think that's the way that they're going to do it. Personally,
they are leaning into the witness the beginning of a new dynasty. I'm very strongly leaning towards there's a consequence after this that is brought up in that Kang Dynasty movie. Whether it's different universe or certain universes shattered or Paul Rudd passes away. I don't know. I just...
And we have to deal with the possible incursion that's happening too. Don't forget what happened in Doctor Strange 2. So like that's also something this world's dealing with.
There's a lot of rumors and little bits I could get into that I'm not going to today around those kinds of things. We need to keep going.
No.
For next episode, I've got some little bits for you, Mark.
Little bits.
All right, I got one little bit for you. I'll give you one little bit, Mark. Are you ready?
Feed me.
There's a little bit that the Marvels movie is about the incursion happening in our universe and Captain Marvel, Photon, and Miss Marvel having to stop it.
I'd be all for that. I would just like is Doctor Strange, do you think will be involved? Because like he went off with Charlize Theron.
Haven't a clue. That's just a little bit that I read.
I'd be fine with that. So that would mean that the Marvels are fighting potentially alternate universe heroes or villains. Potentially. Or teaming up with them.
Sure.
I'll be for that.
Who knows?
Be a 100% better movie than the first one.
Screw you, but that's okay.
Dumpster fire. Holy.
Both of you, screw you, both. We're going to head over to now our top 6 segment.
We're going in 3, 2.
You're entering the top 5 on the Infinity Bros podcast. Starting now.
Historically, we used to do top 5 segments. Now we switched to top 6. Top 6 things we're looking forward to going into 2023. Matthew Leathers, we're going to start with you. Tell us the top 6 things you're looking forward to coming up in 2023.
Okay. Can I give 2 honorable mentions because I really wanted them to be known? Is that all right?
If it was me and Mark, which it is, we'd say no. But because Robbie is an Infinity Bro, I'm going to let you do it because he'd be upset if I didn't.
Okay. So I've got 2, and only one is actually something that recently showed up on my feed. So it's got me really excited. It's 65 with Adam Driver. So I just saw the trailer for it. That thing looks freaking baller. It's awesome. I'm really excited about that. Honorable mention, just because it's just brand new. And then the other thing, Kraven the Hunter. I'm excited to learn more about that. It's expected to come out later this year, like late in the year, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's going to be a fun movie to watch and get to explore him and his story. So that's why I wanted to throw those out there. Okay. But my number 6, like I said earlier, I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft. It is World of Warcraft for this year and being able to kill Lich King again. So if you guys don't know anything about that, that's okay. But it's the reason why it's on my top 6 of 2020.
Do you stream, Leathers?
I used to. But ever since I got into college coaching, I decided to stop. So, yep.
There you go.
We'll see. We'll see what happens in the near future.
Mark, I'm excited. Number 6 for me is Severance Season 2. Looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a great season. Unfortunately, though, I think Severance is a show that we will have about 5 to 8 seasons of. So I think it's a long time before we get. Long? I think we will go that long. Yes, your turn.
I think it's gonna be a four series.
I think it's gonna pull a Westworld.
I hope not.
I hope not. That would be brutal. Number 6, Mark.
Oh, my number. Okay, my bad. I was just used to when we went through all of them for the Stanleys, so I was just waiting for everyone. My number 6 is actually the movie 65. Having that trailer dropped. And I'm like, what's going on here? And it's like, Adam Driver for me is just like another actor where it's like, I gotta go see what he does.
He's awesome.
So I'm all for this like futuristic dinosaur fighting movie. So I'm all in.
Okay. Number 5, Leathers.
Number 5 for me is going to be Secret Invasion.
Oh, man.
The TV show. I know it's a toss up. It was going to be up there, but I've got a couple other things that I'm a little bit more excited about. I think it's going to open up so much more to the MCU and into Phase 5 and what's going on moving forward. But I've got some other things I'm just a little bit more excited about. So
yeah, same for me. It's not on my list, but it definitely, if I was going to make honorable mentions, it would have been there. Number 5 for me is Creed 3. I just love Creed 1 and 2. I think Jonathan Majors is just one of the best actors in Hollywood right now. So I'm really looking forward to him and Michael B. Jordan squaring off. I just think those trailers just are great. Great trailers. I'm looking forward to Creed 3. Mark.
My number 3 is Guardians 3.
Number 5.
Oh yeah, number 5. My bad.
Sorry, you good, Doug.
You good?
I got all the. I got Creed 3,
all right.
Guardians 3.
Lots of
my
threes,
number 3.
Yep.
But yeah, Guardians 3 is my number 5. I'm kind of excited to see how this gets capped off. It'll be probably the last iteration of this group. So it'll be like, will they kill off characters or will they just give them a good proper send off? So
that's a good
question.
Having
James Gunn being gone, yeah, I think so.
And then we'll get introduced to Adam Warlock. So like it'll be really interesting to see how he plays out because like we still got to think about the space like aspect of the Marvel universe and how they're going to play into everything that's happening with King. So
2 out of 6 Adam Warlock. 2 out of 6.
Oh, brutal.
I'm not a huge fan of the actor, man. I don't like the actor. I think of Vacation, man. That's anytime I see him, I think of Vacation.
Yeah. All right, Leathers, number 4. Just go. Number 4. You're on borrowed time now.
Number 4. Number 4 is going to be Mandalorian season 3. Mandalorian
is that this year
3.
too? Oh my goodness!
Yep. We got a lot of stuff coming out.
A lot of new stuff.
Holy shnikes! I thought that wasn't. Oh man, I didn't realize it was coming out this year. That's awesome.
Yeah. I cannot wait. Season 1 and season 2, like they just hit all the right stuff. I'm a person that like you give me fan service, like I'll take it all day. Except for never mind. I love the fan service that they gave in season number 2. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do moving forward with Mando moving forward. So.
Dude, it's coming out in like 7 weeks. Jeez.
Yep, it's soon.
That. Wow, I'm going to stick with my list, but I would have maybe pivoted some of this. From season 2 is my number 4. Mark Zane and I have been really big proponents for this show on Epics, but now apparently it's MGM Plus. Just found that out this week. From season 2 comes out in also a couple months as well. So I'm looking forward to this season. I also think this is another show that's going to be about 5-6 seasons long. So really looking forward to it. I hope Netflix picks it up and ups the ante on the money on it. I'm also really looking forward to, Mark, at the end of season 2. All I'll say is who is on the bus. I'm interested to know who's on the bus of season 1. That's what I'm looking forward to in season 2. So. Number 4, Mark.
My number 4 is the thing we talked about, the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania.
There you go. Number 3, Leathers.
Number 3. We're gonna stick with the 3s here. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is my number 3. Yeah, dude, I'm just excited. I can't wait. I didn't get enough of the Guardians in Thor: Love and Thunder as I was expecting.
Agreed.
I definitely think they should have been in there more. So now I'm like craving it even more. So that's why it's at my number 3.
It was very wise of them to do what they did.
What's wild about that is when you look at the toy line that they had out. And like,
oh my gosh, they had so much stuff
with Guardians, with the Thor: Love and Thunder, for them to only be in the movie for maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Like McDonald's had a whole toy line with all the Guardians like characters that you built like they're like the boat with them, and it's like they were. I wonder at one point were they more involved, but yeah,
you gotta make that money, Mark.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Ant-Man 3. Talked about it. Number 3 is Ant-Man 3. Mark, number 3.
This is going to be a shocker. My number 3 is the Flash movie.
Oh, golly.
Oh, my Lord.
I like after everything that's gone on, I'm just more excited to see what this like. Is it going to be bad or will it blow our socks off? So I'm excited for this.
I expect nothing less. From you.
Number 2.
For me.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 2 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Nice.
Number 1, like it was for me. It's like the best Spider-Man movie in my opinion. It was literally the movie we watched every night before we went to bed for a really long time, and I can still watch it nowadays. So I'm really excited. I can't wait. So it's my number 2.
Same for me. That's my number 2 as well. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's my favorite movie ever is the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The only reason this isn't number one on the list is because the number one property might be my favorite property ever made. So, Mark, number 2.
My number 2 is the Minnesota Con that happens June 2nd through the 4th.
You're so nice, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
You're a good guy. I
I'm
give you a
excited.
hard time a lot, Mark, but you got a good soul. You got a good heart.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
That's in June, you said?
Yeah, I'm sure at this point we're as a Infinity Bros we probably won't get a booth, but it'll be more fun if we can go as a bigger group to this, and maybe hopefully
I will
don't
show
spend as
up and
much
go with
money.
you guys.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
wanted to go.
Let's do it. Let's get the Infinity Bros universe out there. Let's do it.
It's at the same place the con was in November, the Twin Cities Con. So
As long as I don't have work, I'm in.
Bigger names coming to this one, so it might be a little more bumping. So
let's go. Love it.
Exciting.
Number one thing you're looking forward to in 2023: leathers.
2 things. Okay, and I couldn't.
Robbie Sauter of this podcast.
Yeah, the Robbie Sauter. I'm so sorry because I had to shout out my wife. We are going on a trip to Hawaii in March.
Oh, that's a good answer.
We've never been there, so Hawaii is the big trip. We're going this year. But number 1, The Last of Us TV show coming out. I'm really excited about that. I've heard a lot of great things about it. So I just hope it doesn't turn out to be one of those Halos,
Yep.
Bad adaptation. I doubt it. I really do. But you always have that fear. It's almost like you're a DC lover. You just expect the worst, or you're a Cowboys fan. You always lose at the end. Rip. So
for me, it's Ted Lasso. I just think it's the best. It's in our conversation, the best show ever made for me. Now, if this season's brutal, that will be a different conversation. But I like Ted Lasso a little more than I like Spider-Man. So I'm really excited for this season, and I can't wait for it to come out. So, Mark.
Oh, wow.
My number 1 is also a personal thing. It's to celebrate our daughter's first birthday. So,
what are you guys doing?
I don't know. We're probably for sure we're doing something at our new place. So I don't know if it'll be themed or just generic invite friends and have a barbecue type of thing. So
first birthdays are fun because there's just good memories there. You just never forget that.
And you don't have to worry.
You guys
about
doing a smash cake?
Probably. So
you have to,
because Kelly wants to make the cake for her to smash.
Oh, that's great.
Just don't do black dye.
Yeah, well, I think it'll just be
experience black dye.
She actually wants to make like an actual from scratch cake, so I don't think there'll be any dye in it. But I will let her know not to put dye in it, so that the baby doesn't.
Or black icing. That was about a week to remove.
So yeah,
yep.
That'll be good, Mark. That'll be good. It's gonna be a good day.
Mark,
that's our top 6. Top 6 things we're looking forward to in 2023. Tell us what you're looking forward to in 2023. Email us at the infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com or check us out on Discord and drop in and tell us what you're looking forward to this year. Infinity Bro Mark, thanks for swinging by. I'm going to head over now and do some streaming for Friday the 13th.
We'll be there too, so
we'll go together.
I found all the things I needed to game, so I'm ready to go.
Chef's kiss.
What are you guys playing?
Playing Friday the 13th. You got it? You coming in?
I can download it.
Let's make it happen. Let's go. Let's make things happen.
You guys play on Steam?
We're playing it on PS5, but I'm sure we can sneak you. It doesn't really matter, right? You can play it whenever.
I don't know
what?
About that. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. We'll figure it. We'll talk.
Yeah.
I don't know if
we'll talk. We're all on PlayStation.
I've got a PlayStation 4, but
I mean, I got PlayStation 4, so that's what I'm playing on. So
there you go.
So
this is it then.
Yeah.
Matthew Leathers, thank you for coming by. Thank you for being a great patron supporter of our podcast. We appreciate you, but also the Goof and Goober show. Plug that. Make sure you check out episode 1. Leathers, anything else? Where can people find you? Twitter, anything they can find you at?
As of right now, Twitter's up in the air, but if you want to follow my personal Twitter or my coaching Twitter, it's Coach_M Leathers. Go ahead. You're going to see a bunch of recruiting stuff. Go ahead.
It's in the show.
But yeah, you guys want to 2 Christian guys talk about Christian stuff, talk about movies, have a good time, talk about Jesus.
2 guys with a mic, Mark.
2 guys with a mic.
It's a couple of guys messing around.
Two guys, one mic.
Two guys with mics.
Two guys, one mic, baby.
If Mark let me name our podcast of just him and I, he would name it that. That's what he'd name it.
Two guys, one mic?
That's what he would name it.
For sure. Probably not, but
why would you name it that way?
Maybe like a year ago, maybe it would have been named.
Oh, yeah, now we have a kid and now we're tame. Look at us.
Yep.
Look how far you've come.
I like how Max belittles me for that. But this is what he wants. He wants a non-edgy Mark in his life.
I would love a non-edgy Mark. I love suburban Mark.
Give
me suburban Mark.
Not being edgy anymore. Suburban Mark.
We'll make it work. We've got plenty of edge in the other Infinity. I mean, Zane was sharing stuff during this podcast that was wild. I mean, my goodness gracious. We've got it. All right, we got to head to streaming. We're chatting too much. We've been on for almost 2 hours. Thank you, Infinity Bros Universe, wherever you listened, however you listened. Thanks for making us part of your podcast experience. You can check out everything we talked about below in the show notes. Click the link tree to get to all of our websites: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, Twitch, all of that stuff. We hope to see you guys there and extend our Infinity Bros Universe. As always, we love you guys. 3,000. We'll see you later. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infinity Bros podcast. You can find the Infinity Bros on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Infinity Bros. Feel free to send listener feedback via email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com.